All right, everyone, so let's talk about the presidential election. This is going to be the most anticlimactic election in U.S. history thus far. Why do I say that? For one, the phenomena of the American election has changed tremendously. You don't have to be a genius political analyst, theorist, professor to realize this. It has come to the point where it's the best troll who wins. It's the one who can troll in the most entertaining way who wins. If you can troll in a way that entertains the most people, that starts the most discussions, that gets the most people in their dinner table to talk about you, that is the one who wins. It is the battle of the trolls. That is what the American election has come down to. I know it's very, very sad how stupid people have become, but this is a reality. It is truly the battle of the trolls. Is Biden a troll? No. Can he troll? No. Is he good at insulting people? Not really. But Trump can still troll. Trump can still smack talk. Trump can still muddy up the waters and speak in very ambiguous ways to spark arguments and vitriol and acrimonious discussions. Trump still has this ability. He can start discussions. He can magnetize attention towards him. That's what makes him the more effective candidate. Biden doesn't have that. Biden is an old Democrat who has difficulty speaking. He forgets his lines. He goes blank. He has chosen Kamala Harris to be his vice president candidate. But the problem is that a lot of people do not like Kamala Harris. A lot of liberals do not like Kamala Harris. A lot of lefties hate Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, she did not garner enough attention to win the Democrat nomination. What makes you think she's going to help Biden out? She's not going to help him. In fact, she's going to help Donald Trump. In fact, Kamala Harris is the worst decision for Biden, but the best decision for Donald Trump. She works in Trump's favor. Now, I really believe that the Democrats want Biden to lose. I really believe this. How do I know this? Let's go back to the last few elections. Obama versus John McCain. McCain, old Republican guy, doesn't know how to speak that well, not charismatic at all. He's an old boomer. Yeah, he gets some of the old guys to like him, but doesn't garner enough attention. He doesn't spark enough outrage and controversy, enough to commence discussions about him. Doesn't magnetize enough attention towards him. Doesn't magnetize enough negative attention towards him. Remember, there was that lady who approached him and said, I think Obama's a Muslim. I think he was born in Africa. And McCain was like, no, Obama is a patriotic American man. No, that's not true. He didn't capitalize on controversy. He didn't rock the boat. So he didn't get enough attention. He didn't spark enough outrage and discussion. Therefore, he put himself at a disadvantage when going against Barack Hussein Obama. Now, Barack Obama, he sparked a lot of outrage. Think about it. Think about this. Think about it. Obama said things that pissed a lot of people off. He pissed enough people off. What would he say? He would say things like, well, you know, we're not really a Christian country. America is not a Christian country. We're a Buddhist country, a Muslim country, we're a Hindu country, we're a whole bunch of other religions, but we're not a Christian country. Now, technically, Obama was right, but he angered a lot of people. He got all that discussions just swirling around within the right-wing side, within the conservative side of American political discourse. And that anger, my battery on my camera is going out here. Hold on a second. behind the scenes, guys. All right. That anger got Obama a lot of attention. And that anger and attention is what helped him. Because what did it do? It gets the conservatives angry, and then in turn, it gets the left talking, making arguments against the conservatives, making the conservatives look foolish. This is the strategy of tension, the strategy of tension behind elections that are very, very effective and very advantageous for the one who is sparking the outrage. And McCain, on top of that all, McCain chooses Palin. Palin is a woman from Alaska. She has that Midwestern dialect. Now, I have no problem with Midwestern dialects. I have no issue with people from the Midwest. God bless the Midwest. It's a very nice part of America, although there are some religiously strange people. Don't have an issue with the Midwest. But a lot of people like to poke fun at the Midwest. I think this is kind of in bad taste, but a lot of people like to poke fun at the Midwest. And that's exactly what was happening against Palin. They were saying, oh, she's an idiot. Look, she's a religious fanatic. She's a charismatic lunatic, whatever. And the problem was, yes, while Palin did get a lot of favor from people who were conservatives, that's all it got. Now, that doesn't really help you because you're going to have a section of the country who's going to vote for you no matter what, right? You got an R next to your name. They're going to vote for you no matter what. And then you got people who are going to vote Democrat no matter what. You got a D next to your name, they're going to vote for you. But then you got people who waver from the left to the right, from the R to the D, every election. And you don't know who they're going to pick. And those are the people that you have to win. And those are the types of people who aren't really in favor for people like Palin. They don't want some religious charismatic. They want someone who appears, objective and reasonable and balanced. Secular, that's what they want. So McCain failed, right? He lost. Biden is making a similar mistake, although the ideological spectrum is different, obviously. You have a Democrat like McCain, doesn't really have any sort of charisma, doesn't really spark a lot of outrage he doesn't really spark a lot of outrage from conservatives. Now, Biden said some things in regards to abortion not too long ago. Remember, he said that he wouldn't want tax dollars to support, I think it was abortions for poor women or something like that. And there were a bunch of liberals, lefties, who got really pissed at him. Well, the conservatives were in agreement with Biden. I was in agreement with Biden. Like, yeah, I agree with that. But that's not what you want if you want to win an election as a Democrat. You want to spark the outrage on the other side. Biden, to get his advantage, he wants to spark outrage on the conservative side. He wants to get that outrage, that response from the conservatives, that reaction of outrage from the conservatives, in order to get the left or the Democrats and the liberals and the progressives and all these people, whatever the hell you want to call them, to get those people to have the feeling that they're in a war. You want to get the people to have the feeling to be in the atmosphere of war. That's what you want. You want to get the Democrats to think the conservatives are attacking our guy. He was simply defending a woman's right to choose. We have to defend him. We have to make these conservatives look stupid. That's what Biden needs to do if he wants to win. Now, let's go to another example or to another parallel. Biden chooses Kamala Harris, kind of like how McCain chose Palin. Now, Palin and Kamala Harris, two different personalities, two different ideological mindsets and paradigms and all that. Nonetheless, it's similar in the sense that Palin could not get the people who were in the middle to vote for McCain. And I think Kamala Harris is going to have a similar effect. People in the middle are going to see Kamala Harris as really a sort of mean-spirited woman who does not have presidential appeal. here's another thing. We have to focus on optics here. Optics is a huge factor in winning an election. I have spoken to people who told me that they would never vote for a fat person. Has nothing to do with the candidate's politics or his foreign policy or whatever. It's just an optics thing. They don't want a fat person as their president. They don't want a fat person. They don't like fat people. It's an optics thing. So with Biden and Kamala, it's an optics thing. Biden, old guy, kind of looks like he's got dementia. Kamala Harris, she got that independent woman, inner city principal type of face and personality. Doesn't really have that presidential appeal. Obama had that presidential appeal. He had that charisma. He had that way of talking. He had that gait. When he would walk, he'd almost like dance when he walked. He had a very appealing presentation. When he would speak, he'd talk with charisma. I can't do it right. He would talk with charisma. It's difficult for me to do the Obama voice. But Obama had that appeal. He had that presidential optics. McCain didn't have it. Palin didn't have it. Palin had the appearance of, a hockey mom who shoots deer and drinks Capri Sun. I mean, it's just, to a lot of people, I don't really care. Personally, it doesn't really bother me. But for some reason, a lot of people don't like that sort of thing. Kamala Harris is going to have the same problem. A lot of people are not going to like how she presents herself. Now, look at Romney. Romney, he had a presidential face. I mean, he looked like the kind of guy that, you could see him on the poster with all the presidents of the United States. Yeah. But he didn't spark enough outrage on the Democrat side. He kind of kept things safe. And he didn't have charisma. Romney did not have charisma. I remember years ago telling people that Romney was going to lose and that Romney was not electable. I was telling people years ago that the problem with Romney was that he presented himself as an economics professor, talked a lot about economics, talked a lot about numbers, but he did not have charisma. He didn't have that ability to spark an emotional attraction to his presentation. Didn't have it. He couldn't inflame the hearts of the people. He didn't have that. And then he picked Paul Ryan, and Paul Ryan had no personality. No personality. In fact, Biden had more personality than Paul Ryan, hence why Biden did better in the debates, optics-wise. Paul Ryan was constantly drinking water because his mouth was so dry, because he was so damn nervous. He was out of his element. Ryan was not used to speaking in front of such an audience. He was completely out of his element, and he was terrified. He was frankly terrified, and I don't blame him. I mean, it's freaking terrifying. Public speaking is scary. I mean, it's scary enough talking in front of this camera. I get nervous before I do videos. Honest to God, I get nervous because I know that people are going to judge me. Anytime your brain knows that you're going to get judged, it's a natural bodily response to be nervous. And I have to push myself to do these videos. It's not easy. But the bottom line is that Ryan didn't have that charisma. He didn't have that presidential appeal. Ryan didn't have these things. And so he lost, didn't make it. Obama had that charisma. Another thing also, I believe the Republicans pushed Romney and McCain on purpose because they wanted those guys to lose. The Republicans did not want to win an election in those particular presidential elections. They didn't want to win. They didn't want a victory. And I think this is indicated by the fact that even Donald Trump, he teased people by saying, I'm going to run for president. This is when Romney was running. And Trump talked about running for president. And I knew that if Trump ran for president, he could actually win. I knew this. But Trump rescinded his talk about the prospect of him running for president. I think because he himself knew that at that point it would have been impossible. Because if Trump really ran against Obama, he probably would have lost. Or it's possible that they told them, hey, listen, now's not your time. Next time, though, it will be. I really believe the Republicans wanted to lose those two elections. They wanted the Democrats to win. Think about this. They knew that the troops were going to be withdrawn from Iraq. They knew that the United States government was going to enact the policy of troop withdrawal from Iraq. And anytime you withdraw troops from a country that you've been occupying for a long time, there's going to be a power vacuum and there's going to be violence. They knew, the Americans knew that by withdrawing troops from Iraq, there was going to be violence. There was going to be blood. Bottom line, there was going to be all these insurgents, all these jihadists. They're going to be killing civilians. They did not want that to happen under a Republican administration. So they said amongst themselves, this is me completely theorizing here, the Republicans said amongst themselves, listen, there's going to be hell breaking loose in Iraq. Now's not the best time to have a Republican candidate. Let's just lose and have it all under the Democrat watch. And that's what happened. The Republicans lost 2 times in a row against Obama. And all of the hell of Iraq and Syria happened under Obama's watch. And there were all these horrific videos of people being burned alive and beheaded and executed and hung from meat hooks. All these ISIS videos. So to this day, we have no idea how ISIS was able to film and direct these sophisticated videos. But these videos were perfect propaganda fodder for the Republicans. And at that point, all Trump had to do was say, hey, listen, you want more jihadism? Vote for a Democrat. If you want to fight jihadism, vote for me. Because in the midst of all that, you had the Pulse nightclub shooting, you had San Bernardino happening. And so all Trump had to do was say, hey, you want to have another 4 years of this? Vote for a Democrat. You want to fight against this? Vote for me. Bottom line. So Trump won. ISIS gave the advantage. All the Islamic terrorism gave the advantage to Trump. Bottom line. So now you have Biden running. Now, what does Trump have to do? One thing that Trump has to do, and he's already doing this, is simply to tell people, hey, listen, Biden was Obama's VP. If you vote for Biden, you're just going to get another 4 years of Obama. And that's enough to get people to vote for Donald Trump. That's enough to get a substantial amount of people to vote for Donald Trump. So what do we have with Trump? We have charisma. We have trolling. We have enough people who are loyal to him. Plus, we have the fact that a lot of Americans know that 4 years is not a long time, so they're going to give Trump another chance, just like Americans gave Obama another chance. What do we have with Biden? We have an old man who has difficulty talking. We have a man who goes blank when he talks. And we have a VP candidate, Kamala Harris, who a lot of people don't like, even a lot of lefties don't like. And we have Kamala Harris who didn't win the Democrat nomination. She couldn't even get enough Democrats to side by her. And then on top of that, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We are in the middle of a pandemic, which is making it much more difficult to talk about other issues because everyone's talking about COVID. COVID is still the biggest subject ever. It's been the biggest subject since March. So, we have Trump trying to do these other policies like, he helped broker a peace between the UAE and Israel, but most people don't give a damn about that. COVID is the biggest subject. So because we have a pandemic and because human interaction is difficult, it makes trolling more difficult because Trump's is having difficulty trolling about COVID because it's a serious matter. Over 160,000 dead Americans because of this. So in the end, we are going to have another. Well, let me just rephrase. In the end, we are going to have a very anticlimactic election. Bottom line. Anyway, I've talked enough. You guys have heard some theology. God bless.